Craig Fjord from Dominion Financial Services and the Dominion School. If you're looking for a reliable, fast lender for your deals anywhere in the continental United States, or if you're looking to partner on deals anywhere in the Baltimore metropolitan area, then you've come to the right place. Dominion Financial Services is a fast, reliable lender, and they should absolutely be in your arsenal of primary lenders. Well, look, in this quick video, we're going to be talking about mechanicals. If you're rehabbing houses, you'll know that mechanicals represent sometimes up to 1/3 of your rehab budget, so you can't get it wrong. So sit back, take a quick look at this video. I hope you get a lot out of it, and let's jump into it right now. Now, you're at the stage in your rehab where you have just finished the rough framing. Well, you might be asking, what is rough framing as opposed to just framing? Well, we believe that there are basically two stages of framing. The first is the rough framing, where your framing crew comes out and basically does 90 to 95% of the work. The next framing is really the finish framing, and this occurs after your 3 mechanical subs are done. So as a tip, when paying your framing contractor, you always want to make sure that you hold back at least 10 to 15% of the total contract price so that that person is incentivized to return when the 3 mechanical subs are done. Now, who are these 3 mechanical subcontractors? First, you have your heating, ventilation, and air conditioning contractor, or HVAC. Next, you have your plumber, and finally, your electrician. These are the 3 mechanical subsystems in every house. I've listed them in this order because this is actually the order in which you'll want them to perform their work on your rehab, and there's a reason for that, and we'll get into it in just a second. So prior to them getting started, you want to meet with all of them at the job. You want to go over design elements, talk about where you would like the HVAC to be placed, your furnace to be placed, where you would like certain outlets and switches to be placed, things like that. There's a lot of design that goes into pre-planning the mechanical rough-in. So in terms of pay, you want to pay these guys no more to 1/2 or 1/3 up front. Many of them might ask for more, but the best of all worlds is, well, let me go in reverse order. So the worst way that you could possibly pay these 3 sub-mechanical contractors is 1/3 up front, 1/3 at the rough-in inspection, and 1/3 at the end. It's not horrible, but it is certainly not the most advantageous way for you to pay the contractor. The next best way would be to pay him half of his money at the rough-in inspection and then half at the final inspection. You can see there where he's actually using some credit to go out and purchase materials prior to starting the job. And that's exactly what you want for your contractors. You always want to make sure that you are ahead of them rather than them being ahead of you in terms of what is owed. All right. And then so finally, the most advantageous way to pay a contractor, in this case, mechanical sub, would be for you to purchase all of the materials yourself and then have the subs bid only labor. If you can get them to do this, you're really in a position of power. You have a lot of leverage at this point because you can start comparing apples to apples amongst like contractors. You can have 2 HVAC guys just comparing labor quotes with one another. This is difficult because you'll be saying to yourself, well, where the heck am I going to buy the furnace, Craig? Where am I going to buy all of the plumbing supplies? Well, most of these guys do go to supply houses for licensed contractors, but believe it or not, you can buy most of this stuff that these guys buy for your job, if not all of it, in fact, at Home Depot. So it's just a matter of managing the job correctly and making sure that if you're going to go this route where you supply all materials, you simply ask them to give you a list of materials that they'll be using for your job and then do the labor quote separately. All right, so let's move on here. So we get to the HVAC portion of the job. Now you've completed your rough framing. You invite the HVAC guy over. He's going to install all of the supply and return ductwork. The furnace and the AC condenser should be installed at the finish. Okay, don't install that now, especially if you're in a tough area. We always wait to install the air conditioning condenser at the very end, and we put a steel cage over it so it can't be stolen. This should normally take 2 guys about 5 days to do this work, or perhaps just a little less. So next, you're going to get an inspection. So the HVAC guy will call up the building inspector for your town. The inspector will come out, take a quick look, and he'll give you the green sticker. Now, here's a word of caution. Do not trust your building inspectors, your local building inspectors, to be your inspectors. These guys miss a lot of bad work. You need to know that these contractors see the same inspectors every single day. Most municipalities don't have a ton of building inspectors. And so if you have a decent HVAC contractor or plumber or electrician, chances are that they're going to be seeing these same inspectors every day of the week. They get to know these guys, and most of the time they'll be walking through your house talking about the football game or their new girlfriend or what they had for dinner last night. The last thing they'll be talking about is your house. And I'm telling you right now, if you're using a building inspector to be your eyes on the job, that is a recipe for disaster, because oftentimes they will miss a lot of work. So if in this case the inspector gives you the green sticker and says that the HVAC guy did his job correctly, your HVAC contractor will be looking for payment at this point. If you contracted with him to pay half at this point, you'll want to make sure that you pay him promptly. Nothing makes one of these guys more angry than having to wait for the pay, and you can make a really good name for yourself in the business and establish a lot of credibility if you pay them just as soon as the job is done. You want to require invoices for all work done, so as soon as you receive an invoice, you should make sure you pay these guys. All right, so next, you've got the plumber coming in. I listed it this way, but in fact, you could actually have the HVAC and plumbing guys working simultaneously. They hate working on top of one another, as they like to say, but one of the things that I have often done as a rehabber is I have tried to use HVAC companies that are also plumbing companies, or vice versa. You'll see this a lot out there because the two industries are very similar. In any event, you'll often find that there are HVAC/plumbing companies, and if you hire the same company, chances are you can get a better price and you can get the job done quicker because they'll send crews in to do both of these things simultaneously. You can save yourself money and a week in your rehab if you hire an HVAC/plumbing company. Now, the plumbing company is going to install all the supply lines, drains, tubs, shower pans, hot water heater, the washer and dryer box, ice maker line. This is all of the things that go into a plumbing rough-in. Now, just like the HVAC rough-in, the plumber is going to require an inspection. So he'll call the inspector. The inspector usually comes out the very next day. Someone from that plumbing crew has to be there to meet that inspector, to be there when he walks through. And if he gets a green sticker, which should be hung somewhere in the basement, probably on the main drain, or we like to hang all of our inspection stickers on the electrical panel. If he gets his green light, he'll be requiring a payment as well. All right, so just prior to the plumbing inspection, or just as those guys are about to complete their work, you want to make sure that you would have scheduled your next subcontractor, which is your electrical guy. Now, the electrical contractor is not going to make nearly as much of a mess as the HVAC and plumbing subs. He's going to obviously have to drill holes through some studs to run wires to switches and outlets. He may have to drill a hole through a floor to run wires from a basement up to a second and third floor, but he's not going to require nearly as much, if at all, finish framing as the HVAC and plumbing contractors will. So the electrical contractor comes in. He's again going to be about 2 guys in 5 days to complete this, and he's probably going to be installing a new panel, or possibly a larger panel, because the panel that you have in your existing house is too small. It can't fit any additional breakers. He'll be installing new breakers with GFIs, also all new wiring to switches and outlets, as well as wiring to the hot water heater and the disconnect for the air conditioning condenser outside. He also may be installing an entirely new main line that goes on the outside of the house up to the loop where your local electrical provider will tie in. In addition to that, you may get a copper wire or a ground wire that goes all the way from the panel. Code in many municipalities says that that has to be grounded. So the electrical contractor is pretty straightforward. He too is going to require an inspection just like the rest of the guys, and when he is done, he obviously is going to want to get paid. So that's it. That's your 3 mechanical subs. A couple things to remember here. You want to remember that mechanical systems are perhaps the most expensive part of every rehab. Be sure to carefully vet your mechanical subs. Make sure that you speak with other customers who have had experiences with these contractors. You want to make sure that you get great references for all of these guys. You want to try to find guys who have credit and who can float the materials so that you don't have to pay them big money up front. You want to make them purchase the materials before payment. The best way to pay any sub is for labor only, where you supply all of the materials. If, however, this arrangement doesn't work for you, the next best way is to pay 50% at rough-in approval and 50% at the final inspection. This is when the job is basically done. You always want to work with licensed subs who can provide proof of insurance, and by the way, who list you as an additional insured. You want to make sure that when you meet with a sub, you say, look, I want you to send me over a certificate of insurance, and the name of my company has to be on that certificate as an additional insured. It sounds like a big rigmarole. For them, it is literally one call to their insurance provider with your fax number, and that thing can be over on your fax machine before you even get home after your first meeting with these guys. It's very, very simple, and it provides tremendous peace of mind for you as well as coverage. You also want to make sure that these guys have workman's comp and that they're always pulling permits. All right, guys, I hope this has been a great video for you. Hope you gotten a lot out of it. Please go ahead and put a reply here at the bottom of this video. As always, if you're looking for money for any of your rehabs anywhere in the continental United States, Dominion Financial Services can be that provider. We are a $45 million nationwide private lender who can provide you with funds in 5 days for any of your rehabs. So go ahead and get in touch with us to learn how to get pre-approved as a borrower, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.